I agree. Let's talk about one of those players that you mentioned would have to overcome an injury, Destin Hill. You said something that kind of scared me a little bit. He might not play in the spring, and I think that's going to be a big storyline around him and how he's going to be able to hit the ground running. But you also were talking about the training aspect and how serious he is and how he's a gym rat. And I mean, I feel like that side of it could maybe ease that a little bit. And then for the guy on the right, if no one's familiar with him, Teron Francis, number one wide receiver in Louisiana in this 2025 class, and Edna Carr as well as Destin Hill, two Edna Carr boys, boot boys. Everybody's talking about LSU being wide receiver U and the talent that comes out of the boot. Where here you go, you got another potential duo here that I think could just go right under everybody's nose here. G, what do you think about these two? And talk a little bit more about that Destin Hill injury and just if you think that could potentially slow some things down, or if he's just going to be able to get avoided and get past it.
We could start off with Teron Francis. They call him man child for a reason. Once he gets the ball in his hand, he's like a running back. Hard to bring him down to the ground. He plays with a certain level of physicality. You see, he wears the number 14 in high school because he kind of plays like DK Metcalf. Not as tall and big, but he has that physical frame, and he's definitely a talent. Then you got any kind of prospect coming out of Edna-Carr High School, they're gonna be ready to play in college. They're gonna understand how to practice hard. They're gonna understand how to compete, and they're gonna have a mentality about this. Teron Francis is definitely somebody that's gonna come in. And I think we'll have an opportunity to play on special teams. I don't see him really playing too much as a true freshman with how deep that room is. But I think he's somebody people should be excited about for the future. And just going back to Destin Hill, man, him not playing in the spring, that doesn't mean he can't have an impact on the season next year. It just means it's something to monitor. And I think we gotta kind of just gotta pump the brakes a little bit to try to just say, look, we know for sure that he's gonna be one of the guys in that room next year, right? And I know it's probably all precautionary, him not playing in the spring, but I think it's something that to just monitor and see how it's gonna all play out once fall camp starts. Because you got to realize he still got to learn the offense. He still got to learn all the signals. Got to learn all the checks. Got to get that chemistry with Garrett Nussmeier. Some of that stuff takes time, and so I think not playing in the spring. I'm not gonna say it's detrimental, but it's kind of a setback. It's kind of a setback. It's one thing if he was already at LSU and him and Cousin Nussmeier had that chemistry already, and he knew the playbook. But him coming in fresh like that, I think he's gonna have to put the foot on the gas when fall camp comes if he wants to get acclimated to that offense and gain that chemistry with Nussmeier.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's going to be pretty pivotal here. But the amount of weapons, the amount of names, the amount of talent, the potential, everything that we're hearing. I mean, look, even if you add your Diamond Green tight end piece from A&M, just gets that much sweeter. I feel like you're getting better and better and better. And we used the analogy like 2 shows ago talking about Garrett Nussmeier and how, sometimes when you buy your first suit, it's not always the cleanest. You don't always look the trimmest. But once you tailor it, once you kind of know your style, what fits you, the colors that match you the best, then you're off to the races a little bit. So the more names and the more, moments I have like this where I feel like we got diamonds in the rough or just some dogs there that aren't really getting noticed, makes me feel like LSU's on the way up. Obviously,
And
that
then
guy's gonna have to catch up, but I feel like it's a good.
yeah, and look, and it shouldn't be any pressure on Destin Hill or Nick Anderson to hurry back because Chris Hilton is returning, Aaron Anderson is returning,
Yep.
Tavion Thomas is returning. You know what you get from Trey Dez Green, right? You got Caden Durham in the backfield. You got Garrett Nussmeier back behind center. So it's no, it shouldn't be to press the panic button that Destin Hill is being brought along slowly. When he gets back for fall camp or during the summer, I think just bring him along slowly. And I think his first year at LSU, he should be somebody we look at to if he can give you a 300, 400 yard season and a couple touchdowns. I think that's lanyard. I think that's lanyard for him. All right, because you got to remember, all right, he has 3 years of eligibility. So it is no reason to be concerned about, oh, he got to get it figured out this year. All right. And if he could just give him some kind of any kind of production around a 200-300 yard mark and a couple touchdowns, I think that's good. And I think that following year, you see Destin Hill have an opportunity to be one of the best, if not wide receiver one in that room.
I
And
like.
then Chris Hilton will be going. Uh, Aaron Anderson probably be going.
Yep.
Xavier Thomas will be going. You see what I'm saying? And so things are changing after this year. So uh, I think LSU fans should just be excited about the future of that wide receiver room with
Yep.
Destin Hill in it. You know, with Nick Anderson, with Colin Billiard, with Jelani Watkins, and that's barring they all stay put and don't leave and get in the transfer portal.
I'm glad you said that about, the return in production and just all the stars you still got in that room that are going to be out there. Then you get to mix in these pieces like a Destin Hill, like a Teron Francis. Every now and then a little bite out, a couple shots to the chest, make you lose your breath after you thought you had the first four in wraps. There's more. And then Cortez Hankton, Joe Sloan. I trust them to a point where I feel like if they got something and they know they got something, I think they can figure it out pretty quickly. And then I think they can implement it quick as well. I mean, we saw it with your dads. We saw it with Caden Durham. I'm gonna segue to this real quick. We got George in the chat asking about the key for next year. He thinks it's a serious run game, and I feel like that goes hand in hand with the explosiveness we've seen in Caden Durham. I feel really confident because it's not just old CD. You still got Caleb Jackson. As of right now, you still got Harlan Berry, JT Lindsey, potentially Trey Holly. I feel like that room with what Frank Wilson's been able to mix up over there is looking damn good. G, what do you think about the run game and just that transition to getting it a huge focal point of that offense?
Super talented running back room. Very, very talented. I think Caleb Jackson could be somebody you monitor as a flight risk after the spring. All right. I was kind of shocked he didn't get in the portal uh, after the bowl game because he only had 3 carries. But I'm glad he stayed put. I'm glad he stayed put. And, because he's somebody I think that is a good change up from Caden Durham. They're two different type of backs, right? And now you could bring JT Lindsey and Harlan Berry along slowly, right? You don't have to rush them into the SEC play and put them through that gauntlet so early like we had to do Caden Durham. Because if y'all remember, Caden Durham, battled some injuries this year, all right? And you don't want to put so much on a true freshman like that, especially like the running back position like we had to do Caden Durham. That was a unique situation. That's very uncommon. In the SEC, I know the kid Frazier from Georgia did it this year. I don't know if he was a true freshman. I know he's a freshman, but you don't want to put that kind of wear and tear on a freshman coming in like that. All right, and if Caleb Jackson stay put, I think that'll be big for the developmental process of Harlan Berry and JT Lindsey.